this even though nobody will be in the chat right away. Good morning. Welcome to the morning night drive. Hello, Tyre. How you doing? Good morning and welcome to the morning night drive. Somewhat unplanned, although I forgot to mention this yesterday. But today's show is not really a show. I'm driving again. Also for not the best reasons. One of my very, very good friends from high school passed away, and so I'm heading to Omaha for a funeral. And when I ended the show yesterday, I meant to mention this, that I was not going to be having a regular show today, but another ride along with the dog, the morning night drive, so to speak. And so that's what we're doing today, getting to drive back to Omaha. Thank you, Mike Savage, and thanks guys. Welcome this morning. It's strange, and it's funny because it wasn't from COVID or anything or any accident, just something that my friend just had some problems, and he didn't take care of himself. And so now he's passing. I mean, we're not old people, he's not old yet to start dropping, but unfortunately that's what happens. So, but coming in. Good morning. I already said good morning to Tyler Alexander. Also Mike Savage, Blarg, Jeffrey Russell Jr. Good morning to you too. But I suppose there's always things to talk about, and also I suppose you can use this as a Q&A type show, since I can't really spend time looking at materials in front of me, or behind me for that matter. Anyway, so we're just gonna I'm gonna wait, let some more people get into the chat. And we'll see what happens today. Minnesota to Omaha is a hell of a drive. Well, yeah, it's about 5 hours from where I live to Omaha. If you go 80 most of the way, which I generally do. Although you have to slow down through Des Moines because I hit Des Moines right at their rush 15 minutes. Good morning, Avocados Diablo. Nice to see you this morning. But it's not a bad drive. It's, you go, the best way to go is straight down 35 to Des Moines and then straight west on 80 to Omaha. And it's not that bad. So, just not one of the, not too bad at all. Just the circumstances, which are not happy ones. The guy I'm going, good morning, Unacceptable Views from the West, a.k.a. West. We'll just call you West. I won't call you Kanye anymore. The guy that, well, hang on a second. First of all, just showing you, even in transit, I've got my cup of reparations handy. Yes, I do. That's very good. I stopped at the Casey General Store and got a cup of coffee and a breakfast pizza, because that's what Casey's is apparently famous for. I was watching I was looking at a site, or a web article, so to speak. Good morning, Selected Boy. I was looking at a web article on best convenience store food from around the U.S. And when they got to Iowa, they mentioned Casey's General Stores and Casey's Pizza. And it's good stuff. It is good stuff. So, had myself a little bacon breakfast pizza before I started the stream. And it's tasty. Good morning, Jesse Leon. And yes, Casey's Breakfast Pizza is fantastic. If you've never had a really good breakfast pizza before, definitely at Casey's General Stores, they have them. So, anyway, this guy that I'm going to see, we became friends in 9th grade and just hit it off right from the bat. One of my friends, the guy who let me know what happened, hello K-Shaw, the guy who let me know what happened, said we were like Batman and Robin in high school. We hung out a lot, and especially in the summers. We both worked for the same real estate company in the summers. They had a lot of rental properties, a whole bunch of rental properties. Dundee Realty, owned by our friend Dick Weiner, who's Now What's Dad. If you ever see Now What in the chat, we worked for her dad. And after sophomore, junior, and senior year, each of those summers, the summer before I went to school, we basically did yard maintenance and moved furniture and fixed things and just all kinds of stuff. Learned a whole lot of stuff from Dick. He was a great guy, and just had a fun 3 summers, especially with my friend Kurt. And we had lost touch for a little while over the years, but after 20th reunion, got on the phone with him a couple times, and then in the last year, I think I've talked to him more in the last year than I had since we graduated from high school. So it really is, it's tough when you lose friends, but damn it, the guy has lived a crazy fun life, and he's going to be missed by a lot of people. Funny dude too, man. So anyway, so that's why I'm driving today. But enough of that. Oh wow, that's wild. A whole bunch of campers up there. Be selling campers. So anyway, so this is going to be probably a shorter show because I don't have that far to go to get to Omaha. Okay, let me reset my cruise control. There we go. And I wanted to talk a little bit more about this Emergency Power Act in Canada. Now, if there's one video you should watch on this, about 1 this morning, Hotep Jesus did a stream. Trudeau has implemented, and I can't remember the exact name of the act, but it's kind of wild. As I started to think about it, remembering back when he was talking about, he mentioned the words, the Great Reset. And as I was thinking about this, again last night, I was just trying to explain what was going on to Lady Boomer. A lot of the things that Hotep Jesus said this morning were things that were popping into my head about this, and it's kind of wild. So what they're doing. So they've invoked this Emergency Powers Act, right? And they say that it's not so that they can bring in the military to move these people. But what they've done, they said, and this is pretty brilliant by Hotep Jesus, is they are basically cutting off supply lines to people who are protesting the government. So they say that they're going to, it allows them to stop any money. And it's funny because in this announcement and this act, they're kind of labeling the truckers as terrorists. Now this is fascinating to me because if you saw my little, if you happen to watch my my video from this morning already, which Proverbs for the current year, where I said any precedent set by a politician, especially the ones you like, will eventually, or can eventually, bite you in the ass, right? And I go back to the example of when Harry Reid was messing around with the filibuster, right? As far as he said that the filibuster can't be used to stop judges from being confirmed, right? And so that precedent that he set made it possible for Donald Trump to easily get Supreme Court nominees through, right? Hello, Buster's Outlaw. Good morning. Someone else just showed up. I'm not sure. I just saw it. Let me figure it out here. Oh, Aaron Meredith. Good morning, sir. So that precedent set by Democrats coming back to bite them in the ass, right? And I'll even go back as far as George W. Bush, and during the time when we had, after 9/11, and George W. Bush and politicians at the time were pushing for the Patriot Act, right? And which, as I look back, I didn't think about it that much. But the Patriot Act is being used against people who, for Trump, for example, the people who were part or anywhere near that riot on January 6, 2021. Okay? They're using elements of the Patriot Act to keep those people in jail pretty much indefinitely. Habeas corpus is suspended for some of these people, and because they are labeling them terrorists, they're stuck in jail without a right to a speedy trial. So anything that a politician sets as a precedent can eventually come back to bite you in the ass. And this precedent that Justin Trudeau is setting in Canada is not a good precedent, okay? If you believe in the freedom to protest, because, he participated in some of these protests. Remember that? Remember when he was, when Justin Trudeau was in the middle of a protest taking a knee, just like all the BLM people? Well, guess what? The truckers are protesting. In fact, the idea that they're taking fuel, they have police coming in taking fuel from the truckers. They have police coming in, and they're trying to cut off their money. They're cutting off people who are feeding. They're arresting people for honking a horn in support of the truckers. You know what? You know what those are? You know what those actions are? I'm pretty sure, according to the UN Charter, those could be considered human rights violations. Right? You're taking away the ability of people who are in Canadian weather in the middle of winter to keep themselves warm during a protest. Isn't that a human rights violation? Is it denying people who are protesting, denying them the ability to get food and water or whatever, provisions? Isn't that a human rights violation? Is it the ability to protest and ask for demand of your government, make demands of your government? If you are denying people that, isn't that a human rights violation? Holy shit, that truck's way off the road. Apparently someone had an accident over there. These are absolutely human rights violations. And then you have your Prime Minister of Canada saying, we're going to suspend the laws of Canada. Okay? We're going to suspend the laws of Canada. Good morning, Ossan, a DI Prayer Watcher. We're going to suspend the laws of Canada so that we can demand or force towing companies to go in and tow these trucks. Force these truckers to obey and force them to end their protest. through basically, anytime the government does something, even if they don't bring out guns, it is by the force of the gun. Okay? The government has the force of the gun. And so they're forcing, they say they're going to force these tow truck companies to do what they can because the act itself allows them to compel people to do things for the government, aka tow truck companies. Now, think of the precedent this is, because remember, this apparently, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first time that the Canadian government or Prime Minister has ever invoked these powers. Now, what's fascinating, too, about it is the Prime Minister of Canada is supposed to confer with all the leaders of the provinces before doing that, basically get approval before this. But he didn't. Now, it's not required, but it certainly is within what they're supposed to be doing. And many of the provinces are like, fuck you doing? We can handle this. This is nothing. Also, it's supposed to be, the emergency powers are supposed to be if Canadians are in imminent danger of something, right? And also, it's funny because one of the things they are saying that, well, they want to prevent violence. Well, where has there been violence? There hasn't been any. There hasn't been any violence. Some false flag bullshit's been going on here and there. And again, of course, Trudeau said also that these people have unacceptable views. Dun, dun, dun. Unacceptable views. Oh, my God. Hello, Don Julio. Unacceptable views. Oh, no. Unacceptable views. Oh, hell. Whoa, whoa. We can't be having any unacceptable views. Wait. Are you not allowed to have unacceptable views? I forgot. Canada is not a free country. You're not allowed to have acceptable. Because if you lived here and someone said, well, you're not allowed to have unacceptable views, I'd be like, fuck you. But get out of here. You know what I mean? But unacceptable views. I'm sorry, I don't remember anywhere in the UN Charter where someone said you can't have unacceptable views, right? Somebody yeet the bot there. I don't know if there's any. I gotta add some more mods because anyway, whatever. I just ignore the bots. I don't care. So anyway, the whole precedent he's setting, though, and again, by restricting the money, because that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to restrict money in any way that truckers can get money to support themselves. Which, first of all, the Canadian government. Let's pretend that I was one of those people who donated to those protesters. First of all, they're claiming that it's being funded by foreign governments. Well, no. It's not being done by foreign governments. It's maybe about more than half of the people donating to this cause are Canadians. Hello, Nomad. What's up? More than half are Canadians. You know, it is what it is. But even if it weren't, in the United States at least, we have the concept of freedom of association, right? And freedom of association would include, as far as I'm concerned, freedom of association would include where the fruits of my labor and or effort, how I distribute the fruits of my labor and or effort, whether it be distributing it to my family, whether it be distributing it to my to a cause that I believe in, that's my business, and it's my fruits of my labor. So a government confiscating the fruits of your labor because they don't like where the fruits of your labor are going, that would seem like another human rights violation. Now, problem is, our government and other governments have said, well, if you're taking the fruits of your labor and you're distributing them to causes we don't like, let's say, I'm going to give you an example. As far as the Patriot Act goes, they can seize funds if they determine that it has something to do with terrorism. Now, let's analyze that a little bit, because right now, who are they calling, who are some people that they're labeling as terrorists? Well, the Canadian government is labeling these truckers as terrorists. The Democrats in the United States of America are pretty much labeling all Republicans as terrorists. Certainly anyone who was in Washington, D.C. that wasn't a Democrat on January 6, 2021, whether they entered the building of the Congress, the halls of Congress, whether they were outside the halls of Congress, whether they showed up around the building, halls of Congress, but didn't happen to be there before or during the melee, or even if they were at the rally a mile and a half from the halls of Congress, they're labeling all those people terrorists. So now, can they use the precedent set by Justin Trudeau to do the same thing in the United States? By the way, something that Hotep Jesus pointed out this morning that I didn't even catch until he said it. So Justin Trudeau and the people who support Justin Trudeau, one of their issues is that, okay, a lot of the funding to help this truckers' protest is coming from outside of the United States, or outside of Canada, okay? A lot of people in the United States, right? Who is supporting the Canadian government when it comes to the handling of these protests? Who has offered logistical assistance? Who's offered tow trucks? Who's offered government assistance to move some of these trucks, especially at some of these border crossings? Oh, the Biden administration, the United States government, and also Governor Gretchen Whitler have all offered assistance. Gretchen Whitler offered to offered heavy equipment from the United States to assist the Canadian government. Fascinating. But the people of the United States can't help the people of Canada who are protesting. Fascinating. Oh, by the way, the Canadian government offered $500 million or something like that of assistance to Ukraine versus to fend off Russia. Am I leading a convoy to D.C.? No, I'm not. I'm actually driving the opposite direction of D.C. Thank you. So it's weird how the Canadian government, for the same protest, can accept assistance from the United States government, but the people, the protesters, the people on the ground, trying to make their voices heard, cannot accept assistance from other people in other places. It's quite the hypocritical stance. But what's also fascinating about this is the illegitimate son of a dictator is invoking powers that makes him a dictator. Funny how he can do that. You would think. Now, I think in the United States, maybe it's a quirk of the parliamentary system that allowed him to do that, or does it allow him to do that? Is he really following the law in Canada? Really hard to tell. I don't know. I guess I need to brush up on Canadian law. Maybe Viva Fry could answer that question for me, or somebody, any of the Canadian lawyers that are up there. Because in the United States, I don't know that the President of the United States could do it exactly the same way, although I think he would need an act of Congress, which make it a little tougher. I mean, because really, honestly, Trudeau basically has declared war on his fellow citizens by invoking this act. The phrase, he's cutting off their supply lines, and it's kind of funny because some of the people cheering this on just have me scratching my head. Some of the people who are most supportive of protests that they support are somehow thinking that this is a great idea, the government should squash this protest, the government should be out there banging heads, out there they should forcibly remove these people because these people are just terrible. This is an illegal protest. Really? What exactly is an illegal protest? What the hell is an illegal protest? So this again, it's a crazy development, and I don't know that. Look, this precedent means. Look, I guess my message to politicians with this kind of stuff, they said, any precedent set by a politician, whether, especially the ones you like, can come back and will come back to bite you in the ass, right? So I think, and I go back to, like for example, the fight over the filibuster again. I think Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin probably saved the Democrats as far as that's concerned with the filibuster, because no matter what you think and no matter how you think demographics are changing, remember, the demographic change doesn't mean that it's going to change the makeup of your representation. And when that pendulum swings to the other side, and you've invoked something that you do not want the other side to use, well, when you're out of power, you're also shit out of luck. So I think one of the golden rules of passing rule changes and just setting precedents is, okay, I want to invoke this rule change, or I want to set this precedent. How would I feel if my opponent had the same power? How would I feel if the party or parties, depending on where you live and what system you're under, if the party or parties that I argue back and forth with, if I gave them this power when they were in power, how would I feel? How would I deal with that? And so, you got to be careful setting precedents like this. You got to be careful changing the rules of the game just because you're in power and they give you an advantage while you were in power. Because you were never, ever guaranteed power. Unless you're Kim Jong-il. That's a whole other story. Alright, hang on. I'm on a turn, so I can't really read the chat for a minute, so give me a second here. Plus, I got a bunch of vehicles around me. So, anyway, I do highly encourage you to go watch Hotep Jesus' trucker video from this morning. Put it on, it's about an hour long. If you don't have time, put it on 1.5 times speed. You'll still get all of it, but I thought it was really, it opened my eyes to a couple things I hadn't thought about, and I thought it was very well done. Alright, so as soon as I get around this truck, I'll be able to check the chat a little bit. Just a second here. Resume my... Wow, I got here fast. Holy shit. Anyway, alright, let me see. Let me see if I can catch up in the chat. Dawg Knight, you know, I love history because I can literally predict the future with it. Oh, yeah. Yes, you can. You know exactly where the shit heads, yep, and it is going to be fucking bloodbath. Man, it's not looking good. It's not too late, you know. I don't think it's too late to head some of this off, but some people need to start talking and making a good point, you know. I also watched a blurb from Tucker Carlton from last night. I don't really watch Tucker Carlton as a regular thing, but I caught a blurb of him on YouTube this morning, and he made a lot of sense too. I wish I could remember exactly what it was, but I'd highly recommend those videos. But Hotep Jesus' take was pretty brilliant. You got to think about what was the words he used. He said, individual sovereignty. You know, when you take away the ability of a person to determine where their efforts and labor go, i.e., money, where their money goes, their effort and labor. Basically, you gain your money is just a symbol of your effort and labor. Now, that's not his words; those are my words. But his words of personal sovereignty. If you lose the ability to direct where your labor and individual efforts goes, you're not free. You are not free. And it, you know, if you think of the Bill of Rights, as he was saying, and he explains this a lot better than I will. But you know, you think of the Bill of Rights, you have freedom of speech, freedom of association, freedom to bear arms, freedom, from illegal search and seizure, all the Bill of Rights. But nowhere in the Bill of Rights does it mention your ability to exchange value, i.e. money. But that also is an essential right that you should have just naturally. You should have a natural ability to share your efforts. Be it share your efforts with your family, share it with your community if you choose to, or choose not to. The natural ability to share it with or causes that you believe in. So, this shit's getting insane. And I really hope, because some of the provinces in Canada are not necessarily going along with Justin Castreau. And it's going to be interesting because, the reason that the other part of this emergency power, too, is saying, well, if the provinces can't handle their business, then the government will help take it over and make sure that you handle your business. But are the provinces, not handling their business? Is it something that the provinces can't handle? Is it something that has to come out of Ottawa? Again, this is the power that he's given himself. Again, no one gave him this power. He invokes this power. And now it gives him basically martial law. He gets to tell, he gets to make the decisions. And he and the deputy prime minister, whatever the hell that woman's called, that used to write for the New York Times. The part of it too is a lot of the media is just, they're so excited he's doing this. This is something he should have done from the beginning. Yada yada yada. Hey, remember, media. Hey, media. Let me just remind you something. He can also tell you what you can and cannot do under this scenario. He can also he can also he can suspend your rights. Then you'd be up in arms. You'd be all ready then, wouldn't you? But again, that's one of those things, any precedent set by a politician, especially the ones you like, can eventually come and bite you in the ass. Is he going to shut... Now, here's another thing that's happening, because this is apparently the website Zero Hedge, if you're familiar with that. They do a lot of original reporting and things like that. Apparently, the United States government, aka the CIA, is pushing to have them stop reporting on some things that they are very good at reporting. Now, I haven't seen the details of it, but when I just saw a couple blurbs on it. That's a direct violation of the First Amendment of the United States of America. So, under what precedent are they doing this? Now, I haven't. Well, maybe it's on the WikiLeaks precedent where they're trying to get Julian Assange, right? But they don't like what Zero Hedge is reporting, and so now the federal government, or a branch or a agency of the federal government, is trying to shut down Zero Hedge. Interesting. Now, you know how they keep saying, well, you have a right to free speech, but you don't have a right on this platform or that platform, Twitter or YouTube or Facebook or whatever. You don't have a right to speech because those are private companies, right? Well, what about, is the internet a private company or is it a public carrier? It seems to me the internet is absolutely a utility, and Zero Hedge is his own website. But who's trying to shut him down? And look, a lot of this goes along with this whole game about the word misinformation. Now, because remember, yesterday's conspiracy theory and misinformation often becomes today's truth. If you can't, I don't know what I'm saying here, but now they're telling, you have government officials encouraging websites to shut down misinformation. But who decides what misinformation? And remember, First Amendment of the United States Doesn't say shit about misinformation. Okay? It's freedom of speech, freedom of press, etc. So, in the early United States, I mean, if you think politics is dirty now, go back and look at some of the dirty things that they did in politics at the beginning of our country. The lies they told about people, the just dirty lies and things they said about people in politics. Was it true? Some of it was not. But you have a right to say things that are untrue. Doesn't mean you should do it. Doesn't mean there won't be consequences. Doesn't mean that your credibility can be shot all to hell. But you certainly have a right to say things that are untrue. You have a right to say misinformation, even during a pandemonium. Code. You know the code. So how are they using this specter of misinformation to shut down people's rights to say things? And Zero Hedge, they're not mad because Zero Hedge is doing misinformation. Zero Hedge is getting flack for being over the target. You know, it's funny too. I know I'm changing subjects now here and there, but you know how this whole story about John Durham's report on at the Hillary Clinton campaign was paying people to spy on the Trump campaign, Donald Trump himself, and post-election, post-inauguration, to spy on the President of the United States himself through some internet backdoor tricks, through an internet executive. Now, I think we know the name of the internet executive. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but no, it isn't Jack. No, it isn't Zuckerberg. It isn't any of those guys, but someone who's an executive. The person who's going to be Hillary Clinton's head of cybersecurity, and I can't think of his name off the top of my head, but he was the one that they know that this tech executive one is. But the idea that today's press, okay, and I just use that word as a general term, today's media, I should say, for the most part has ignored a story about a political campaign spying on the other political campaign. And spying, and I don't know that I'm using that word loosely. It is what it is, right? It's certainly using electronic means to get information about another campaign in a manner that is probably not kosher. Okay? And particularly when it involves the President of the United States, a private entity, having access to communication from the White House, and the press just doesn't seem interested. Their biggest part of the story is that, they didn't, the thing of the Russian phones didn't mean anything. Say what? What you talking about, Willis? It's almost like there's no story. That's not a story. Now, the other part too is, hey, where's Merrick Garland? It's in. Oh, this is. Nobody wants to hear that shit. Nobody wants to hear that story, right? Oh, wait a minute. Do you think it's now? Again, this is a precedent. A precedent where, not president, but precedent, where the media's just not interested in the White House being spied on. That's not a good precedent. Imagine, let's say the RNC, or let's see, who ran against? Let's say the Trump organization. Let's take the Trump organization for example. Let's say the Trump organization. By the way, hit like, all that other stuff, please. Oh, I should probably check my. I haven't. Okay, no sponsorship thing. By the way, like, share, sponsor, and comment, please, if you know the drill. Imagine if the Trump organization right now, right at this moment, had, say, Kash Patel, who was, who's been a lawyer, who's been doing stuff, who was part of the Obama administration and then worked for the Trump administration. So this is a guy who's worked for two very disparate administrations. Okay, let's say Kash Patel had been paying a cyber company right now, as we speak, was paying a cyber company to monitor all the communications out from the White House, from President Pudding Brain and Jen Psaki. Okay, and they're monitoring electronic communications through those, through the White House from those people to each other and outside, right? What would the media be doing right now if they found that out? Would the entire East Coast be aflame? They'd be typing so hard. And I can just hear Joe Scarborough bitching on MSNBC. I can hear Joy Reid. I can hear Brian Stelter about the unprecedented breach of etiquette and security in the White House. This is unprecedented, and I've never seen anything like this. And all Fox News is talking about is something that we don't care about, even though Fox News is still talking about Hillary Clinton. Boy, oh boy, would there be a shit show going on right now. But, because it's Donald Trump, see, they need to stop thinking of it as being Donald Trump. What they need to be thinking of it as is the office of the President of the United States. But they don't care. They only care if it's part of their tribe. And again, I'm going to say it again. The precedent set by the people you like, or the politician you like, or the media you like, can and will eventually come back to bite you in the ass. Right? Sorry, I'm not paying as much attention to the chat. It's a little hard to read while I'm driving. I love how PDawg calling Brian Biden pudding brain. That's not original. I got that from Jack Cochran. He calls him President Pudding Brain. But anyway, so we're in a fascinating world right now, and I really hope that we're able to get this straightened out, because again, some of these things they're doing. Here's the other part of this thing with Trudeau. Let me go back to Trudeau a little bit and his little emergency powers that he's invoking, his dictatorial powers, I should say. And I don't mean, well, I could mean dictatorial powers, but I mean dictatorial powers. He's kind of a dick. Anyway, I think, he says, well, we're not going to have, this is not so we can use the military to take care of this situation. We are going to use all these other dictatorial powers, taking their money and their food and their heat, human rights violations, because of the threat of violence. Because of there's a threat of violence, right? Threat of violence. Really? Where? Now, you would think, in the United States, boy, you get some truckers out there and some Teamsters out there, maybe, but we're talking about Canada, the most polite place on earth. People just out there having a good time while they're protesting, and they're saying they're doing it because of a threat of violence. As racist, homophobes, transphobes, every other phobe you can think of, has been working. A fringe minority with unacceptable views that are not allowed. Unacceptable views. What the fuck is an unacceptable view? Well, views that are not allowed. Oh, okay. Holy smokes, did I make good time? I just passed into Omaha. What the time did I leave? I can't remember. My plan was to leave at 4 a.m. I did not leave at 4 a.m. Oh. Okay, I got here oh, damn. I got here in like 5 hours. Okay, not bad. Okay. So anyway. I guess that, I don't know. The idea of, well, unacceptable views, that's you, West. I just think the precedent set is not good, and let's say, for example, when Justin Trudeau gets bumped out of office, if he does, it's funny because he's only at, his party in Canada, they win like 30% of the vote in this last election when he called the new election. They got 30% of the vote. And the only reason he's prime minister is because a coalition of a couple parties allowed him to stay. Do you think that's going to last? Now, again, it is Canada, so it very well could. I guess my worry is that they're going to try to pull this shit here. This is going to be something they try here, and I just don't. Whew. Maybe we have some constitutional protections against this kind of thing, and also we have enough opposition party right now to not ever give Biden these kind of powers, because he's not exactly all there. I don't know. It's coming to America 100%. In fact, they want it. Well, the Democrats seem to want it. They're trying. They're already trying this with the January 6th people, because some of those people are straight up political prisoners. Now, some of those people, the ones who committed violence, the ones who were, the ones who attacked police, whatever, they should have some jail time for assault. The people who just wandered into the building after the guards at the Congress let them in. I don't know how you can call that trespassing. The ones who were there, who were talking with the guards and said, okay, you can come in here if you do this, this, and this, and behave. What part of the insurrection were they? The insurrection were they? What part of it? That, you get trespassing for someone letting you in the building? I don't think so. They didn't force their way into the building. A vast majority of people who were there did not force their way into the building. Right? A few did. And the people who were leading, the ones who did, weren't part of the group. That Jonathan dickhead telling them, hey, burn this shit down. He's not one of them. He wasn't one of the protesters. He was a plant. And I don't mean a philodendron. I don't know. Excuse me. Been driving a long time and I'm tired. I'm trying to keep trying to not go into black pill world and not believe that the shit's completely breaking down, that people will come to their senses. One thing about our political system, it only swings between two parties. Maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. But the fact that it does swing between the two, nobody can get too comfortable in their position because they'll just be voted out. And if they try some nefarious shit so that doesn't happen, it gets really well known really fast. And so hopefully it just stops it, nips it in the bud. Why is there no turn on red here? This is stupid. Anyway. All right, so anyway, I hope you all are having a good morning. I'm going to cut this short today just because I don't have a lot of stuff I can add to the screen and things like that. But I do want to thank you guys for joining me today. I apologize for not announcing that this would be a truncated show. This would not be necessarily a morning night live, but the morning drive live. I'll be back with a regular show tomorrow as I'm heading back to I'm going back to Minneapolis tonight. This is coming down for the funeral, and then I'm leaving, going back. So I will have a regular show tomorrow. Normal times, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. Please, if you haven't done so already, hit the like button for this show. And if you could share this one before, during, after. I hope I made sense while I was talking today as I'm driving. If you're just watching a replay, put a comment in the comment section so that I know you dropped by and I can thank you with a heart, or maybe even sometimes I comment in the comment section too, if you haven't noticed. And if you want to sponsor this show, all of the information is in the description of all my other videos. Not in this one. It will be in the description down below, but I haven't really written a description for this video because I started it while I was on the road. So, but you guys know how to sponsor the show if you want to, and I appreciate all of you who are able to. Thanks for everyone who participated in the chat. It's time for me to go, though. My name's PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.